Ambassador and the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of Africa. So today we're going to start off with libation so we get the energy initiating within the room, and then we're going to go into question and answer before I get into the lecture. All right. We're going to start off with who's familiar with libation? Familiar? All right. Well, as soon as I call our names, y'all just say Ashe, all right? Ashe means peace and power. We're going to resonate the power and energy within the room. All right? We're going to start off. Locksmith.
Ashe.
Beth.
Ashe.
Raul Kahudi.
Ashe.
Archangel Michael.
Ashe.
Satan.
Ashe.
Aset.
Ashe.
Asar.
Ashe.
Jason.
Ashe.
Danielle.
Ashe.
Rael.
Ashe.
Dogon.
Ashe.
Botron.
Ashe.
Zeus.
Ashe.
Hermes.
Ashe.
Heru.
Ashe.
Michael.
Ashe.
Aluwaluedo.
Ashe.
Krypton.
Ashe.
Osiris.
Oshe.
Isis.
Ashe.
Malcolm X.
Ashe.
Tupac.
Ashe.
Biggie Small.
Ashe.
Whitney Houston.
Ashe.
Well, Whitney Houston and her daughter were both found face down in a tub on February 11th. That was a ritual. 11 is 2 ones. That's one and the same. So the thing is, when they took her mother away, she came back to finish what her mother didn't finish in Hollywood because it was an energy resonating there. But we'll go further into that. All right. Al Green.
Ashe.
Harriet Tubman.
Ashe.
Nat Turner.
Ashe.
Yasin Tuwa.
Ashe.
Aaliyah.
Ashe.
Christos.
Ashe.
Mythos.
Ashe.
Khalid Muhammad.
Ashe.
And then if y'all have anybody that's passed on into the other realm, just call them out. All right? Ready?
David Moore.
Ashe.
Frank Middleton.
Ashe. Clifton Spinner. Ashe.
Ashe.
Carolyn Spinner. Ashe.
Ashe.
That's it. Ashe.
Ashe.
Anybody
Patricia
else?
Gilliard.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Don't be afraid, y'all, now, because we're trying to summon the ancestors and get them in the room. So we can have some.
Ashe.
James Yates.
Ashe.
Come on, let's resonate. I feel it.
Anthony Tremaine Martin.
Ashe.
Raymond Gillard.
Ashe.
Come on now.
Carlos Fine.
Ashe. Lisa left out Lopez.
Ashe. Harriet Tubman.
Ashe. We said every time, but that's good. Ashe.
Michael Jackson.
Ashe.
Anybody else? All right, then. They in here, I feel them. So
Ashe.
we're going to start off with a Q&A, question and answer. If y'all have any questions and answer about anything, ask them. I'll do my best to answer your questions. But welcome to the Broad Rock Library in Richmond, Virginia. We're here today to raise the energy and vibrations within the jurisdiction of Virginia, because you have to understand that Virginia is where a lot of the slaves came out of the Atlantic Ocean by way of King James, who was one of the translators of the Bible. That's why they have King James, Virginia. It was given to him in that title, who was a homosexual as well. All right, so if y'all have any questions, go ahead and ask. Any questions? All right. Well, we will jump right into it. It's going to be a short one, but we'll jump right into it. Today, religion is on trial. Need somebody to get the, you know what? You can go ahead and get that. All right, slides. Today, religion is on trial because when we look around today, a lot of our people is in a worse condition, but yet they are regurgitating and they are digesting religion to our children. And when we look at the condition of black people in America, we see that we are worse off than any other culture. We have a church on every corner, yet we're homeless, we're getting shot down, we pray to God, we still get shot down. You get what I'm saying? When you look at other cultures, such as the Chinese and Japanese, they don't have churches on every corner. Why? Because they know the moral values, they know the spiritual sciences of each other. When you look at red ants and black ants, they don't mingle with each other, even though they're ants. But they both have 2 different diagrams. They think differently. Even though black and white people bleed, they say we're the same. We're not. When you study the genetic codes of black and white people, the whole biochemical structure is different. So today we're going to put religion on trial. We're going to put God on trial. All right? We're going to put the leaders on trial, but we're going to put God on trial for allowing the leaders to come into our neighborhoods and to false profit us and to go into our pockets and take all our money. So we're going to go ahead and go into the first slide. Because why would God create a devil, right? If he's a jealous God, why would he create a devil who would actually tempt us to take us away from him if he's a jealous God? Why does God have emotions? Well, he's supposed to be a spirit. He's a he. And the Bible says God is a he. Why is he referred to as a he? That's human characteristics. They say God created man and woman in his image and after his own likeness. Correct? So we in his image and after his own likeness, God murdered. Can we murder? You get what I'm saying? So how can God create laws that says thou shalt not kill, but you turn around and start murdering people and creating genocide? That don't make sense. This is the reason why we see religious people creating the highest crimes and wars. Not only in America, but in other nations. So we'll go on to the first slide. Slide down, brother. This one? No. Go back. Go back to the one you was at. All right. Just slide down. A lot of black people think that religion is spiritual. That's two different things. That's like saying the body is the same as the soul. That's not true. All right? Number one, is religion good for our people, and is there evidence to prove so? Number two, who is really benefiting from religion, the shepherds or the sheep? Why is Western world religion set up as businesses? Who is this God in the Bible, and what is this God's characteristics? Last but not least, how old is this God? All right, next slide. Just go to 2, down at the bottom. There you go. All right, go scroll up. This is a classroom teaching today. It's not going to be a classy lecture. I'm just bringing some things in. It said, how can God create something more powerful than himself? How is it that every time Christians get into trouble or fall short, as they say, how is it that they give more credit to a devil for overpowering them rather than analyzing or asking the question of why does God not have the power, being that he is God, to stop the devil from causing them to fall? If God created everything and everybody, why, if he loved Christians, why did he create a devil that would tempt you to turn away from him knowing that he's a jealous God? Those are questions we got to answer. Right? These are the questions that must be answered, because if God is a merciful God and he's a forgiving God, then why does hell exist? Which the theologians say is 132,000 miles under the ground. But we can't feel hell. We can feel the sun, which is 93 million miles away. And then if you go into hell, right, as a soul or a spirit, you have to have some type of human characteristics or genetics and able to feel the fire to burn you. So if you burn it forever, how does spirits burn? Nobody has ever went to hell and came back to tell us how I look, how I feel. You get what I'm saying? So next slide. I'm just going to run through this. Scroll up. Religion creates double minds. Whenever you back Christians into a corner with asking them questions pertaining to God, they will always say that you cannot question God. But it's your very own God who says to ask and you shall receive, which is a form of asking. So it's contradictory. Well, that is a form of questioning. Now, when you look at Adam and Eve, we have to look at the chronology of things. You can't just accept something. Because my mother taught me that if you're going to eat any type of food, know the ingredients of what you are eating, because you might have a negative reaction. So if you're telling me that Adam and Eve is 6,000 years old, as theologians say, right? Then you have anthropologists who goes into Africa who finds bones over 3 million years old and older today. So the chronology don't add up. Not only that, they say that Adam and Eve were of European descent. If Adam and Eve were of European descent, how did we get here? Because their genetics are inferior. They can't give birth to anything darker than themselves. They are inferior. So in order for them to get here, they had to have some type of melanin, pheomelanin, neuromelanin, or uomelanin, which they only have one common type. Different biological structures. So don't never let them tell you that they were first. All right? Next slide. If God creates commandments for us to go by, is he allowed to break these commandments? That's just like me raising my child and laying laws down in my house and telling my child, look, don't do this, don't smoke, don't curse, don't watch this on TV. But then I do the very same thing that I tell my child not to do. Right? So how can I have the authority to break these laws, but my son see it? Whose fault is it? It's my fault. Because I raised that child and try to teach him right to tell him not to do this, but I do it myself. So the question is, if God can murder, God can steal and kill babies before they come out of the womb, right? Then we should be able to do it too. Now I see why Christians are the highest carriers of crimes. All right? Scroll down. And it is no coincidence that many of the things which I'm about to convict God of has been carried out by those who believe in him, because if you are created in his image and likeness, then the sick, hypocritical behaviors exploited today by Christians themselves is just behaviors being emanated from their God. The Bible tells you to be like God, yet God is doing more murdering in the Bible than Satan himself. Where does Satan murder in the Bible? He's tempting, but not murdering. You got a question?
No, it was a statement.
Oh, okay, right. Hosea 13:16 says, God promises to dash to pieces the infants of Samaria, and their women with child shall be ripped open. But this is supposed to be a merciful God, a forgiving God, and a loving God. Hypocritical. Once again, this God kills the unborn, including their pregnant mothers. 2 Kings 15:16, God allows the pregnant women of Tapio to be ripped open, and the Christians have the audacity to say that God is pro-life. How in the hell is it that Christians can read passages where God allows pregnant women to be murdered and not see that Planned Parenthood is doing the very same thing? Yet God says, thou shalt not kill. This is your modern day God killing you. The governmental ordinance department. This is your God. This is who you get. This is where you vote for your sustainability. This is where you go to for your laws. You depend on governments and presidents. God don't do nothing for you. We can look around the world today and see what's going on with black people. We killing each other. We out of our mind. We're not eating our right foods. We out of our mind because we're not eating our right foods. Because everything that you eat is conducive to how you think. And this is why today you got a lot of us eating the same slave food that the cracker gave us. And we wonder why we act the way we act. It's because the same chemicals or chemtrails that they spraying in the air is in the food. Chemtrails cause you to be aggressive. Why? Because it have manganese in it. And manganese raises the level of your cerebral cortex, which deals with your logic and reason, your emotions. So what we do when we stress? We eat. Right? We eat. So they know this. They create the situation, and then they put the food in the communities because they already know what we're going to do once we get into the situation of our emotions. And then once we eat these type of foods, it's going to compromise our emotions. And now, next thing you know, we're out here killing each other. We're abusing our women. We're out of their household. It's time for us to stand up now and know that this is more than physicality. This is a spiritual thing. I tell people all the time, if you eat alkaline foods, people say, oh, well, I eat good, I do this, do that. So what? But what type of people do you keep in your presence? Because people are like food as well. The energy that emanates from them is the ingredients. Ingredients is frequency and vibration. So therefore, if your mind, which is the spiritual womb, and your mental womb is picking up on this and digesting it, then guess what? You're going to get even sicker than when you eat the pork. I'd rather you eat the pork. Because people are worse. That's why when a woman is pregnant, you are not to stress her out or depress her. Because the thing is, she has a physical umbilical cord, but the baby has something that's called a spiritual umbilical cord that's attached to the outside, which is the illusion. Because you have to understand that when the fetus is in the mother's womb, it's more closer to the reality. It's still inside of that dream world. You have to understand that black people's dream world is our reality. And this is why white people have to take melatonin pills, because they're trying to get closer to our world. They can't sleep. It's a sleep aid. Again, when you watch Nightmare on Elm Street, that's the metaphysics of it. You have to look at it. These white folk go to sleep and they get attacked by Freddy Krueger. When you look at Freddy Krueger, you don't see him as no cracker. You feel the energy of a nigger. Seriously. When you look at him, when you look at Jason, you feel a cracker energy. But when you watch Freddy Krueger, you feel a black man's energy. But that's metaphysics. It's not the person that's killing them. It's a certain DNA that's killing them. You have to be able to break that down to its lowest common denominator. Because they know how to read the lens. They study our DNA. You think that they came into Africa and took us out of Africa just like that. They just came over there one day and decided to pick us up. They had to study us first. They knew our DNA. The Bible is nothing but a book of DNA of black people. When you go to Revelations, it said the mark of the beast is 666. But when you study black people, within our melanin and neurons, we have 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons. So the thing is, when they teach you that that's evil, you have to understand that they teach you to hate yourself. That's self-hatred. So when you say 666 is evil, you're saying yourself is evil. You're turning that frequency back on yourself. Just because you can't see something don't mean that it don't exist. It exists. You have molecules around you right now that's comprised of sounds. You just can't hear it. It's so high that you can't hear it. Sometimes something can be so high that you can't hear it. The sun is loud. When you look at the sun, it's loud. And the reason why it's loud, and because it's loud, and white people's skin are sensitive, what it does is when you turn the speakers up loud and it bursts the glass open, you ever turn something so loud and the glass just starts to shatter? Their skin is more thinner and it's identical to glass. So the sun actually cracks the cells, the nucleus in the cells, and causes that nucleus to become a cancer cell. So they're not natural. Anytime nature burns you, it's telling you in its own form of communication that it's not natural. But black people like to always take up a white people. What we say? Well, I have to put sunblock on too. Of course, you eating that food, dummy. Think about it. You running around eating genetically modified foods from genetically modified people. White people are not natural. When you study the rhesus monkey, the diagram and the physiology of the rhesus monkey is very identical. It's very identical. They gave you the word God. We didn't use God back 5,000 years ago. Our ancestors would slap us if we said the word God 3,000 years ago. Because God was created inside of the illusion by a man. It won't create it outside of the illusion. White people don't have the superiority to create a God. They can only create a physical God, which is their money. So they put in the Bible, money is the root of evil, so you won't go toward it. But the thing is right here, it's good to go toward it, because any realm you go to, you have to be able to survive. No matter the element on that realm, and the element to survive on this realm is money. Don't ever feel guilty for going toward money. That's why our grandparents and our grandmothers go to church and we quick to get $50 and our lights get turned off, the church won't help us. Because when you read the money is the root of evil, they say, well, we don't need it, let's give it to the church. It's resonating. You can be sitting in front of the TV, right? And you could doze off and go to sleep. Have you ever went to sleep one night and you dreamed about a commercial? You wake up and the same thing you was dreaming about is on TV, is on the television? That's frequency. That's what you are. It's energy. It's a satellite bouncing off of your satellite, which is your brain. Your physical brain is your satellite. Right? Now, we'll go back to the Bible being science. How is the Bible science, and how can I prove that? Okay, I'm going to prove it. When you look at Christ being the Son, which is the S-O-N, you have something that's synonymous to that word that we learn in school, which is S-U-N, right? And then you have 12 disciples following that S-O-N. And then you have 12 zodiacs following the S-U-N. And then they put the S-O-N on a cross, which is a cardinal point with 4 points, which is water, air, earth, and fire. The S-U-N is on a cardinal point, which is water, air, earth, and fire. It's metaphysics. It was never meant for you to see it from a literal standpoint. You have to look below it. You have to look below it because it's ingredients. And depending on the way that you digest it in your brain, like I said, it's not only the physical things that we digest, it's the mental things. What you read can make you sick. You can be listening to some music, right? And in the background, it may be something playing in a different frequency. And it can cause you to snap and go off. That's why when you hear brothers listen to Jay-Z and them, or Cam and them, and Cam, you know, back at a time, Cameron, one of the rappers, I think, started wearing pink. The next thing you know, the brother's wearing pink. Who do you think owned the industry? They playing us. We in the laboratory. We hamsters in a laboratory. So we have to wake up and see beyond the third dimensional lens, because we are higher than that. We have 7 chakras. We have more than that. We have 720 chakras, which is 7 plus 2, which is 9, and 9 ether. But on this realm, we only allowed to carry only 7 with us, because it can't take over 8 chakras. 8 chakras is 4 and 4. That's 2 foundations. 2 foundations is too much for here. We wouldn't make it here with 2 foundations. When I say 2 foundations, I mean 2 souls. We all comprise of 1 soul, which is energy. We can't come here with 2 souls. Now, Whitney Houston almost did it. Why? Because like I said, they knew who she was. They knew who she was. This was the ISIS ritual. February 11th. Her daughter had been dead. She wasn't on a respirator. They was telling the community that to keep y'all in a state of emotion, to think that she was still alive so you could have some type of hope. But the thing is, she had been gone. Just like when you look at Farrakhan today, he's been dead. This is a clone. And I said I'm going to talk about clones, but we have to talk about clones because clones come in many forms. Religion is a clone. Why? Because it was plagiarized from our history. And anytime you plagiarize something, you clone it. There's many forms of cloning. You understand what I'm saying? So the thing is this right here. When you see a lot of the leaders today like Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and all these people, these are clones. They've been dead. Farrakhan is a member of the Trilateral Commission. Like I said, I don't know if y'all following me on Facebook, but as soon as I put that out there, his captains and lieutenants jumped all over me. One said I needed to be chin-checked and didn't know what he was getting himself into. So the thing is this right here. In order for you to kill something or to know something, you have to go into the root of it, which is, I'm not going to say history, because we'll be talking about somebody else's history. We have to create our own story. We are not gods. Anytime somebody calls themselves a god, it lets me know that they are not knowledgeable of who they are. When you say God in dyslexia, it becomes what? Dog. And when white people lived in the caves, who did they breed with? Who did they lay with? Dogs. And even today, if a white person see you on the street, and they see you suffering and see the dog suffering, what's going to happen? Who they going to pick up first? Not you. They ain't going to pick you up. Look what happened to Mike Vick. They ain't care about no damn Mike Vick, but yet these crackers all over America killing deer. Talking about animal cruelty. They killing deer. Sleeping with horses. They nasty. These people are nasty. So don't let white people make you feel guilty of something. This is their, people say the Bible is our history. It's not our history, it's our DNA. Big difference. It's our DNA. And it's also traditions of a spiritual DNA of Freemasonry, because we look at Masonry and we run away from it. Anything that these crackers tell you to run away from, they tell you for a reason. This is your sciences. This is what the Dogon knew. They ain't know no 33 degrees or no damn sciences. Jesus died at 33. He ain't no shit. I know he didn't exist. So the thing is, right, this is the thing right here. When you're talking about the Bible, you have to look at it from the standpoint of it being Biblios Heliotech, which is a science, it's a science book. It's like mythology. Even though mythology is a myth, it has a reality in it if you can see it. And it's only a certain people with that DNA that can grasp it. That's why I tell people today who call me, I get calls all times of the night. And they tell me, well, I'm trying to make my mother get into this, or I'm trying to make my husband get into this, or da-da-da-da-da. You can't make people get into something that they are not meant for. My mother, I'm older than my mother. I'm 33. My mother's pushing 60. People say, how is that? Because of my frequency. I love my mother, but I'm not obligated to my mother. See, when you start creating obligation in this world, it keep you from being able to get to where you're getting to. Sometimes our parents want to live their life through us. You understand what I'm saying? And we can't do that. And I like to reiterate it at all times. So, you know, we have to understand that when we came out of the portal, or the black hole, or the melanated hole, we had a destiny for ourselves. Many of us, just because y'all here today tells me that y'all been here before. Every single one of y'all been here before. Even the ones who still confused about what I'm talking about been here before. Why? Because you showed up. I ain't here to pack the place. I'm only here to speak to a few people. And like I said, I go into the Bible and talk about Jesus even though I know he didn't exist. But how many people follow Jesus? How many people, how many celestial bodies follow the sun, the S-U-N? 13. Go ahead, bro.
Oh no, I was just raising my hand because
13. Right. 13. People say it's 12 zodiacs. It's 12. That 13th zodiac cut us off. If we study that 13th zodiac, which is Ophiuchus, right? Then we'll be able to see that we have a 13th strand of DNA within us that can be activated by way of the way that we chant, the way that we breathe, the way that we eat, the way that we have sex and make love. Today sex is just an activity. Just like I said, when we get stressed, what we do? We eat. When we get stressed, we like to have sex. But sex is supposed to be used to open your third eye. It's not meant for activity. And on December the 25th, the 13th zodiac is at its highest peak. This is when we're supposed to be having sex. We're supposed to be fucking like crazy. Curse words don't exist. All of us adults in here today. So the thing is, on the 25th, they got you watching some peckerwood, Santa Claus, worshiping some peckerwood, and the Pope down in his lair worshiping the Black Madonna, or the 13th zodiac, because the Black Madonna is the 13th zodiac. It's the serpent. This is why when you go into Genesis, right, the serpent didn't come to Adam, it came to Eve. Eve couldn't take the serpent. Why? Because the serpent had something in itself. When you create medications, you have to use the poison of a snake. Did you know that? And the snake is very identical to the two X chromosomal systems when you study the diagram of the snake. So when they say stay away from the serpent, what God would tell you to stay away from the tree of good and evil, or the tree of knowledge? Why would you want us to continue to be dumb as a God? So that means that you're dumb too. Because you say you created us in your image and after your own likeness. You get what I'm saying? So we're going to go to Genesis. When you look at Genesis, this is the gene of Isis being born. Man won't even thought about, Adam don't even represent male in there. the gene of Isis. You have gene, Isis, gene, this is Genesis. Take the SIS off of the word becomes gene. A gene is something used to identify a particular characteristic of something and someone because you have gene pools of foods as well. So, they say that Adam and Eve were 6,000 years old. Now, they were correct. I know y'all like, y'all, you crazy. They were correct. Adam and Eve represent, in the illusionary form, a hybrid genetic people who were born with a different gene and DNA. This is why when you get around white people, you feel different. When you go to work, you feel different. You just have this energy around you where it's just different. You get what I'm saying? So, and then when you get around your brother, this is why we get in a room and they say, yo, it's hot in here. Turn the fan on, man. All these black people in the room. It's because we doing a ritual and don't even know what we're doing. But we hate it. We say, man, it's too hot up in here. This is the way they taught us to think. You should love heat. You should love heat because heat is the alkaline for your melanin. But now since they're spraying chemtrails, the heat is intercepting molecules of the heat or the tissue of the heat is intercepting hybrid frequencies. And it's being transferred into our melanocytes by way of our keratinocytes. Your keratinocytes is your surface cells. They're your antennas. Just because you don't see your skin crawling, it's crawling. You put it on the electron microscope, you'll see it crawling. All right. So now we're gonna go to the next slide, brother. All right. Infidels and gays should die. That's what I believe. Well, that's what I know. First count we're going to convict God of is guilty of being against homosexuality, but giving permission to his man of God to allow it in the church today and even being gay themselves. Now, so God let them go ahead and do whatever shameful things their hearts desired. As a result, they did vile and degrading things with each other's bodies instead of believing what they knew was the truth about God. They deliberately chose to believe lies. So they worshiped the thing God made, but not the Creator himself, who is to be praised forever. That is why God abandoned them to their shameful desires. Even the women turned against the natural ways to have sex and instead indulged in sex with other women, and men instead having normal sexual relationships with women burned with lust in their hearts with each other. Scroll down, brother. So, if this Bible is an ancient book, somebody predicted our future. Somebody put in the Bible that we're going to predict that we're going to have the people who we enslaved to lust after each other out of naturality. So when you look at America, there you see all of this going on. Women lusting after women. Men lusting after men. But for what though? It's not just, it's a depopulation method. They see that black people are giving birth at a high rate. White people are now declining as far as birth rate. And this is not racism. This is true. This is scientific. You can go and look it up yourself. So when you have the universe shifting or having a paradigm shift, and then you have the brain capacity of black people inclining, and the brain capacity of white people declining below 9.5%, this tells you something.